to be the one to break it to you, but sex education of the past failed us, because birds and bees, they don't fuck. Welcome to Birds and Bees Don't Fuck, a podcast where we learn exactly how bad our formative sex education, or lack thereof, really was. I'm your host, Ariel Zadok. I'm a producer, intimacy coordinator, and sex educator. My guest today is a writer, comedian, and hopeless romantic. You know her from her hilarious Betches sketches. Welcome to the show, Tess Tregellas! Yay! The crowd goes wild! Oh my God. So should I congratulate you on your recent marriage?
Oh yeah.
You're wrong.
Oh my God. I'm unhinged.
Oh my God. I love your unhinging. It's hilarious.
I do too. It's so funny.
So for context, you just did a show in New York that was my big fat rom-com wedding, or what was it called? I know it was like your big fat wedding or something.
Yeah, it was my big fat spoof wedding.
Yes.
I have a show called My Life as a Rom-Com, and like a month before the show, I was like, which is a quick turnaround. I was like, I'm going to make this my wedding. Duh. And I previously like bought a wedding dress for $80 on Amazon.
Yes.
And it's gorgeous. And I did a couple of like videos in it and they did well. And I was like, I'm going to wear this all the time. So I made it my wedding and I had, oh my God, it was so funny. I had a best man. I had a magician. We did like an improvised rom-com. And then I had a fake like wedding rehearsal where everyone in the audience brought instruments and they all went on stage. And I like had them be the band for when I walked down the aisle. And then I got to the altar, which was the stage, and then I had a friend break up the wedding and be like, Tess, you can't do this. And they had a rap battle for my love. And then
oh my God, a rap battle for my love.
And then I made everyone in the audience go out into the street. I had a brass band. And I made everyone go out into the street and we, in my wedding dress, and we danced to All You Need Is Love, like down the block to this random bar. I didn't tell them I was coming. I just walked in and I was like, hey, I just got married. Can we like hang out here? And we're like dancing on the tables. They were like, yeah, do whatever you want. It was like, people won't say no to a bride.
No.
And then they were like, where is the groom? And I was like, there is none. And
it was just me.
So funny. It was so funny. And like, truly best day of my life. My dad was there. My mom wasn't there, but she wanted to be. But I was like, I'm going to do this like all the time. Like, this is like, it was so chaotic. I had a meltdown like the whole week before, like any other bride would.
Like a real bride.
It was like very stressful because I was like, what if nobody shows up? Like, what if I throw a wedding for myself and literally nobody shows up?
Oh my God. So did your dad walk you down the aisle?
No, I had a friend, but he did decide. I just picked someone from the audience. I was like, "Hey, walk me down the aisle." My dad did pick who was my suitor. And then at the end, I'm like, I don't want to get married, and that's the whole thing. But it was so chaotically fun, and yeah, I mean, I literally like just buy yourself a wedding dress or a tux or something that just like. And I wore like sneakers and I'm like running around. It was like, I was such a little clown. It was so fun. So thank you. Thank you so much because it was a lot of work.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. It looked so much fun just seeing the, I don't remember. I think it was the video that you posted of everyone in the street. It was like very New Orleans. It was very, because New Orleans, they just like have parades. You can just be like, hello, New Orleans, I would like to have a parade. And they're like, no problem. We got you. We'll close off the street. That's what it felt like watching those videos.
No, that's what I wanted. I wanted to be huge. Like this was the first one and it was such a quick turnaround. Like I literally got the brass band 2 days before the show.
Oh my God.
I was harassing people. But you know, if you have a vision and you go for it, you can get what you want, you know?
It's so true.
Yeah. Very clear vision. But I just need it bigger. Every time it gets a little bit bigger.
Oh my God. You're going to sell out like the Roseland Ballroom for your fucking fake wedding one day. And it's going to be amazing.
I know. Here's my goal is to get paid to get married. Like get a sponsor. Like I gave so much energy into like the idea of getting like a wedding and da da da. And I'm like, no, I don't care anymore. Like, I'm like, I did that. I want a
Yeah.
marriage, but whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. I
didn't
love
get
that.
married.
Getting paid to get married. You're like your own bachelorette or something.
Yeah.
Because they
I'm
get,
like, what?
well, if they win, they get paid to get married, I guess, in a weird
That's
way.
true. That's true.
You know,
Whatever.
bitches got
How are
dreams.
you?
Oh my God. So wait, I actually want to ask you about bitches because
Okay.
so we met years and years ago.
Yep.
It feels like, I mean, it was pre-pandemic, so it was like truly a lifetime ago at
Mm-hmm.
Second City doing improv together. And it was like, first of all, it's just been such a joy to watch you grow and develop, and just like, it's such a joy. Like every time I see your videos, I'm like, yes, Tess, yes. And
Oh,
then all of a sudden you like showed up on the Betches feed, and I was like, wait, what? Oh, wait, this isn't her feed. Wait, she's doing videos with them now. And now you're like their
yeah.
it girl, and it's fucking amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. I got hired, oh my God, a year ago. But yeah, I was grinding, making my own content and my own videos. And then I applied for a job here through like LinkedIn, and they had me do some rounds of interviews and video content. And it was just a really good fit because it was something I was already doing and loved
Mm-hmm.
doing, just for a bigger audience and platform. So it's really, it was, came at the right time. I like almost got my real estate license. Like it got scary for a minute. I
Yeah.
was
And
like,
I can't tell you how many times stuff like that has happened to me as a freelancer. I mean, I tell people, especially in the beginning, so often, like, you are going to get to the point where you're like, fuck, I got to get some regular ass job. I can't do this.
yeah,
I don't know what's going on. And then, like, boom, then you're going to get a great job, and it's going to be awesome. And then you'll be on a streak for a little while. And then maybe, the trends of the work giant or like whatever it is. And then you'd be like, fuck, I got to go, sell books at a bookstore. And then you're like, no,
yeah.
I'm good. Like, you just have to trust the flow of the industry, which right now is really hard. Right now we're in a strike with
Yeah.
WGA and SAG, and rightfully so. So a lot of people are, it's rough. It's rough out there right now.
Yeah, I feel very grateful. I'm curious to see what happens with like media because we're not a major studio obviously, but
Yeah.
um what happens with like influencers. I'm what they call a micro influencer, so I got a little baby micro baby.
Hey, little baby, little micro
This
baby
little baby micro,
influencer,
but it's so
little
so
camera.
silly. But yeah, it's great. It's fun. It's but it was not fun for a long time. Not the job,
Yeah.
the freelance video creation, but I always did comedy stuff, so that was always the number one.
Yeah.
So if
It
you're
was it's a
freelancing,
really good fit. It seems like a really, like,
mhm,
you two coming together was like, obviously they needed
yeah,
her.
yeah, it's been great. But freelance was not fun.
Yeah.
It
Definitely
was I
not for
learned a lot.
everyone.
Yeah, I did it for like 3 years, and I liked it, but what they don't tell you is that it's like flexible hours, but it's not for you, the freelancer. It's for the employer. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. So who is this helping now? So I got frustrated with that. But,
Yeah.
you know, I think
Yeah.
creatives are always working all the time, which is
That's
how I
it.
like. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Creatives, whether you're getting paid for it or not, creatives, like, we have to create. Like, I am
Yeah.
not getting paid to do this podcast. I'm paying to do this podcast, but it's something that
Yep.
I have to do. So it's just, it's one of those, I have to do it because I had the vision. Same thing as what you were saying with the show. It's like you have a
Yes.
vision. You're like, I just have to do it.
I have.
Sorry, I can't
And
sleep. So I got to make it.
I know. And I will spend crazy money on like, a vision for a project. And then and then I'll be like, well, but I can't really like go out to dinner.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
Yeah.
I just spent so much money on a fake wedding. Like, why?
But
Why?
why?
Why am
Yeah.
I doing this? I love it.
Yeah. It's
But
all the
anyway,
different weird things that fuel us, right? Like, yes,
yeah.
the social connection for sure fuels us. But I think as creatives, unless you're completely creating on your own, then
Mhm.
you're in that cipher of connection with other creatives, and you're co creating. And that's vitality and connection and empathy and joy and love and passion. And like, it is all of the things more than you can get from, having some bruschetta and a good glass of wine.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's important too. But we can do
Sure.
that on the cheap.
I know. I'm like, no steak's gonna change my outlook on life, you know?
Yeah.
A piece of theater might, but sirloin steak
Yeah.
definitely not.
Definitely not. It'll be real tasty for a while, but yeah, that piece of
Mhm.
theater, that I think it's so interesting with live art and live performance because it's one of the lowest paid forms of art, really, that is like it's high cost, it's a lot to produce. You get paid not that much at all, and as far as society goes, it gives back so much for our health and wellness and pushing the needle forward or giving us perspective. And it's like, that's where money should be, like
I
people
know.
the
I had
money should
a
be going into that shit.
Yeah, bringing it back to sex, because this could be a good segue. But I had a acting teacher say, and they were like big in film for a while, and they were like, film and TV is like a vibrator, and live theater is like the best sex you've ever had. And it's like so
Wow.
true, because you're like, yeah, like consuming it, acting in it, like whatever it is, it's like it's so mechanical versus like something that is like anything could happen in live theater. And that's what I'm trying
Yeah.
to play with at the moment, because it's like I got so stuck in the land of like, this could be for social, this is for social, and I can edit this like this, and it's like, who freaking cares? Like,
Mm-hmm.
we are all here right now in this moment at this wedding, and maybe someone else will take a video, maybe they won't, but yeah, that was good sex. And some of like the videos I make are, it's like a
They're okay.
quick one-off
I
live
mean, your
later,
your videos
and
are
I'm like,
good, but like comparing it to sex, it's like, yeah, they're great. That's great too.
yeah,
Which
I'm like, that's fine, yeah,
toys and
that's good.
vibrators are
Oh,
fantastic. But it is,
yeah, that's
that's the magic of live theater and improv. And in sex, you have to be so present in
mm-hmm.
order to get to that place of pleasure and sensation and joy and love and connection and all those things, whether I'm talking about sex or live performance, because right now the words that I'm using are totally interchangeable. You have to be in your body. You have to be present, whether
Mm-hmm.
you're performing or you're in the audience. Like whatever role you're playing in the bedroom or on stage, you got to be there. You got to
Yeah,
be there. If you're not there, you're going to fuck up. You're missing it. It's like, what's happening? What are we doing?
yeah, and I have so much trouble with that
Mm.
in both scenarios.
Yeah.
I will literally be like, because my brain just like goes into these, like, I'll be on stage and my brain will be focusing on the audience, or vice versa. And in bed, I'll be like, yeah, I'm here, but I am definitely thinking about my to-do list or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm like, if I'm gonna, if I'm gonna have good sex, I need to block it out in my cal and be like, I
Yeah.
have this hour, and I know I've prepared for this hour. And I don't think a lot of men in the dating realm are as scheduled as I
Scheduled.
am.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people poo poo that idea, like scheduling sex. They're like, oh my God, you have to schedule sex. But desire works that way. Desire
Mm-hmm.
isn't just like, okay, now, like you do have to do things to prepare your mind and to prepare your body and
Yeah.
to be in that space to receive, especially if you are on the receiving end, regardless of what your gender is. Or what your genitals are. Like if you're receiving, like you got to be ready to receive because that's a
Yeah.
lot that you're taking in just from a physical perspective. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of value in just being like, okay, this is the time, brain. I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you, this is the time. You can think about
Yeah.
this here, you can think about that there, or just creating ritual around getting into and out of the bedroom. Same way as you create a ritual before you shoot. Like before you shoot something, you got to set up the lights. You got to make sure the
Mm-hmm.
batteries are charged. You got to make sure that sound is good. You got to make sure,
This is a good metaphor. This is such a good metaphor.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you
It's
have to
so
put on a
true.
costume. You have to like
Mm-hmm.
get in your character of like,
Totally.
yeah, that's so
And that's
true.
even for vanilla sex. Like that's not even for kinky sex or anything like that.
Yeah.
That's just like to get ourselves out of this like capitalist go, 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 go shit and get ourselves into our body and ready to fuck and have a good time. Like
Yeah.
you gotta do that. You gotta swap. So it's It's a
Totally.
whole thing. Good prep, great shoot, you know?
Yes. Ooh, I love it.
So, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Connecticut,
Ah.
Fairfield County, very suburban place. But I had family in New York, so I was like in New York a good amount, seeing shows or
Mhm.
I did internships in New York, so I was very comfortable in the city, and wanted to move there. But yeah, Connecticut is quite fine. It's a lovely place to live, but grow up. But I was bound for the theater.
Yeah. Yeah, and, I'm from right outside of New York City as well, so I'm familiar
Oh
with
yeah.
Connecticut, and it's, like, nice, and I'm from Rockland, so it's
Oh,
like
okay, okay.
yeah, Connecticut is, like it's nice. It's like a perfect it's
It's
nice.
very
Nice and
what's that TV
convenient.
show where
Weeds?
oh, no, it's like
Oh,
everything is perfect.
Stepford Wives.
Yes, it's very Stepford Wives.
Yeah.
And like I think I just always grew up in like a um I don't know, just a very stereotypical like Christmas card is perfect, like family is not kind of vibe.
Mhm.
And yeah, so it was I just thought it was so now looking back, I'm like, oh, it's so funny. Like even a wedding, like everyone's putting on this persona, this like clown costume. Like I went to school in a uniform and I was like, this is such a joke. Like you put us up in all of these like uniforms. It was all a costume in my mind. So yeah, I see why people move to Connecticut. I don't see it for myself, but
Yeah.
cute place.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. And I think that there are also, like, for me, and maybe your experience might be different because you're still in New York, but for me, I was very, very close to New York. Like my dad worked in the
Mhm.
city, even until he still flies back. They just moved to Florida. He still flies back to go work in the city. So he's still working in the
Mhm.
city. So, and like all of our doctors were there and so like really suitcase town. And I just, for me, first of all, I never wanted to live in the suburbs. I was like, this is not for me. Even now when I'm in LA and I think about the valley, I'm like, ugh, the valley. I mean, great
Yeah.
parking, but no, thank you. And it's like the valley. It's right here. It's still LA. Like, what am I even
Yeah.
talking about? Um, but like, I just didn't want to have that quintessential. Grew up in the suburbs. I went to the city, I got a job, I got knocked up or married, knocked up, whatever, all that, and then moved back to the suburbs. Like that was just, I'm sure for you, you probably see a lot of that as well because it's kind of the template that, at
Yep.
least where I grew up, that's like our template. The tri state area has a template, and that's the template. Like you
That
go to
is
the
so
city,
true. Yeah.
right? Like you go to the
Yeah.
city so that you can find your person, you have a baby, and then you're like, wow, the city's just too much for a baby. And then you move back out
Yes.
to either your suburb or somewhere in Jersey or Connecticut or Westchester or
Mhm.
Rockland. Like that's from like maybe Long
Yeah.
Island.
And
But you got to be from Long Island to want to live in Long Island. I got to tell you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so true. There's such a template, and I think I fall into that a lot of the time where I feel like the pressure of that,
Mm,
but you just I gotta let them down. I gotta be like, this is not gonna be my life. And I have a lot of friends doing that, and they're so happy, and I'm happy for them. But
yeah.
um, that was never gonna be me. But I do feel myself slipping into those thoughts, especially when dating. I'm like, because
Yeah.
people see me and they assume like, oh, she wants to get married, and I'm like, what? Like, this isn't like and not that I want to marry them, but like guys get very intimidated by a woman who knows what she wants, kind of.
Oh, yeah.
And what I want, I have like it's not marriage at the moment. But it doesn't help that I do wear a wedding dress as a joke. So I'm like,
Yeah.
it's very so I'm like not really currently dating, but it's fun. I'm having more fun with playing around with like those expectations and how people see me and being like, You don't know me. We're gonna
Yeah.
I'm a goofy person."
And there's so much in there too. Like I love seeing you play with this hopeless romantic thing because for lack of a better term, we romanticize that, you know? Like we have these
yeah,
ideas and so often when people are entering into relationships, first meeting, first date, oftentimes before you even meet them when you're just online dating and you're just talking to them, you're already deciding this is my husband, or I'm just going to speak,
yes.
cis straight terms right now. So this is my husband. This is a boyfriend. He's just fuckboy material. He's just going to be my
Mhm.
friend. Like you don't even know this person and you don't even know the relationship that either one of you are in. Like we jump into that dress. Like we
Yeah,
jump
I am.
and men when everybody does that. And it we see it less in like the gay community, gay men community, less
Mhm.
in the queer non-binary community. Lesbians move pretty fast. They're pretty known for that. But certainly in cis straight couples, people are like, I know exactly what category you're in, and I've already placed you. And wait, what's your last name?
Yeah, yeah. I have written and I think it's also because I'm like a writer, but
Yeah.
I have written like full scenes of like how the date will go and what fights we'll have and where we'll break up and when we'll get back together and how I'll woo them and how they'll woo me and how I'll get upset that they didn't like before we even go on a date.
Mm-hmm.
And it's psychotic, but that's how my brain works and that's how a lot of people's brains work. I'm noticing, which is
Yeah.
refreshing but scary. And like I think sometimes it's this game of like, you don't want to come in too hot right now because people don't want to try anymore. People want to like, I would say people because I think it's men and women. We want to be
Yeah.
like, well, if he really wants to see me, he'll see me. And it's like, okay, well, if you want to see them,
No.
you see them. And I'm trying to be better at that too, where I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I just like, if I like someone, I really like go for it. But I don't but I get scared that they're gonna be like, "That was a lot." And it's like, yeah, it should be a lot.
It
It
should be a
like
lot. Don't be
it
coy.
should
What are we
be
doing?
like if I like someone and like if they were like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'd be like, right now, I'd be like, "I gotta go." Like they want to see me. Shut computer. Like bye.
Yeah.
Which is not healthy.
Which is
Not
like,
healthy.
yeah, we'll work on that one. But yeah, it's like, but
But
that is often how we do things.
but that's how it works when you're like obsessed with someone, and
Yeah.
it's not helpful, but it's real. And that's what I'm trying to explore is being like, okay, like these things aren't healthy, but like, where do we learn these things from the rom-coms where they're
From the
running in the
rom-coms.
yeah, you learn these
Yeah.
things from the rom-coms and they set these expectations for how romance and love should be, sex even. Like
Yeah.
most of the rom-coms, it's like they're making out and then it's like over and they're just like naked in bed. And you're like,
And
wait,
by the
what
way, they
happened to
come at
the
the
like
same time. Like, what? No, I'm
yeah,
sorry, but
if they
that's
did it
not,
at
that doesn't
all,
happen.
it doesn't happen. And I don't I think there's like and what bothers me the most, especially with rom-coms, is like most of the first times that they sleep together, the girl is drunk. Like she's drunk or
Yeah.
blacked out or like whatever. And it sets this
Yeah.
like because it sets this horrible standard for a girl to be drunk to feel comfortable in sex, but also even if they don't have sex, the guy's like, "Don't worry, we didn't do anything," and it's like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,"
That I
like
shouldn't fucking
I'm like,
question that,
"He's
dude.
such a good guy."
Also,
Like,
you can't give consent really if you're drunk. And that's the whole
yeah,
thing. So now there's two layers of that. First of all, we're teaching women and girls that it's only okay to have sex on the first date if you're drunk, because if you're sober,
mhm,
then you're a whore or whatever. If you can blame it on the alcohol, but you can't blame it on your own bodily autonomy and making decisions for yourself and being strong and confident in what you as an individual want to choose to do. And then we're also showing that hey, you should be making these decisions about your body when you're kind of drunk or when you're fucked up and when you're not good. And then for men and boys, we're saying, hey, look, this bitch is fucked up. You should fuck her. You should go now. Now is a
yeah,
good time to fuck this woman because she's not sober. She can't say no to you, bro.
yeah.
The fuck? What the? I'm so happy that you brought that up and that you
I hate
that's like
every
something
time,
so
and
noticeable for you.
it pissed me off in I don't know if you saw Ted Lasso, but the scene
Mm-hmm.
they in the last season they had this cute scene in Amsterdam, and the female coach, I'm forgetting her name, the blonde, really pretty
Oh
one,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
older one,
Hannah
he has like a
something plays
fling
her.
with this
Mm-hmm.
guy, and it's so cute and lovely and wonderful. And then the next morning she wakes up and she's like, "We didn't have sex. Did we?" And it's like, why are we doing this? Like,
Why?
you should
Yeah, I
wake up and
agree.
fully know whether or not you even kissed somebody. And that's scary to me because it's happened to me where I'm like, oh my God, did we? I have no
Yeah.
idea. Like, and that's not fun. It's not fun
Yeah.
and flirty to have that happen.
No,
Even
no.
if it's someone you like and are dating at the time, like, even if it's someone you trust and are consensual with, like, as a partner, like, that doesn't feel good to be like,
No.
oh, fuck, like,
What happened?
what happened?
To not
So,
know what your body did
It's really scary.
That's very scary. Even if it is,
Yeah.
like you said, in a trusting situation, just the fact that you wake up and you're like, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
That's
And I think
fucking terrifying.
for guys too, like I don't think that's a nice feeling to have either. Like
No.
maybe it was really a beautiful like moment for you and someone's just like, yeah, I don't remember. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, ouchie. Like
And I
so
like to think most
you
guys don't want to be predators either. And they don't want to feel predatory and they don't want to be putting anybody in a situation that they're making decisions that they're not fully on board with. Like the
yeah,
vast majority of people want that resounding yes. They want to know without a shadow of a doubt that their partner, whether it be for an hour, a night, or a lifetime, is a full fucking yes. You know,
yeah,
it's not, that's not good or fun for anybody. And it
yeah,
is a problem, and when we're showing it, we should be showing it as a problem. Like if we're gonna, if a character's gonna wake up and be like, did we let's show them having a conversation about that
yeah. I'd be
and
like,
how
oh my
fucked
God.
up this is.
Yeah. And it happens in so many rom.
Mm-hmm.
It's and I'm like, oh, I wonder why like my whole college experience was like not this beautiful rom-com that I was looking for and more of the like messy girl like waking up like wait what and
Oh
because
my
that's what
god,
I thought
what?
was
Yeah.
happening and I was like this is so stupid.
And we're also
So
taught that that's like the desirable thing, right? Like that's the cool
yeah,
girl. The whole idea of the cool girl, like what you were saying with playing it coy and that's cool guy, cool girl, like there's nothing cool about that.
no,
And I think it is definitely a problem to say, well, if they wanted to, they would, because that lacks so much nuance and context for what the other person may or may not be going through. You don't know about their life. You don't know what challenges they have. If they're in a place to be dating somebody, they could be so enamored with someone and be like, but I am in a fucked up place right now and I can't pursue this, or I'm taking care of my ailing parent, or I have a kid. Like, who knows what
yeah,
other people's situations are? And rom-coms especially are teaching us that, like, and a lot of very bad coaches are teaching us, like you said, well, if they wanted to, they would. That's
yeah,
that's just not true. It's just not true.
yeah, it there's so many tropes that I'm trying to play with because it's I don't think it's helpful but I love them. I love rom-coms. I really do.
Yeah. But I think it's really helpful what you're doing. I think it's really important what you're doing. And, it's similar to how I see sex education, where it's like, we got to make
Hmm.
fun of this stuff. Like, if we're not joking about these fucked up things, then we can't
Yeah,
disarm anybody enough to have the conversation. Like, if we're talking
I
about people that don't
yeah,
know how to touch a vulva, for example, if I'm just like, you don't know how to do this, so I know better than you, and let me tell you, like, that's, no one wants to listen to that. But if I'm like,
mhm,
listen, motherfucker, like the shit that you're trying to hit, it's over there. Let's
yeah,
come on, let's come with me. Like
yeah. I
disarming
think
people with humor is powerful.
yeah, and I think I always joke that like most of my sex education came from female comics, like
Yeah.
Chelsea Handler, Eliza Schlesinger, all those people. I was like, oh, that's normal. Vaginal discharge is normal. I'm supposed to have those marks in my underwear. What? Like, thank
What?
God.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, I think it's important, and I also it is funny, but I think it's also funny when guys find like when because I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. If a guy is like, wait, I didn't know like a tampon goes in a different hole or whatever,
No. Why would you know?
that's
You weren't
fine.
taught.
It's you weren't taught, but what's really scary is that that's not their body. Like what's really scary is like women don't know their own
Yes.
body. And
Yes.
I think that that's the big thing where I'm like, I didn't like there's so many things I had to learn to do and then you're trying to teach it to someone else who also doesn't really know like it's clunky, it's funny, it's messy and like if you have someone who's open to exploring that with you then it's fun and there's
Yeah.
no pressure but when you have to like prove control or give up control it becomes not as fun and it's like I don't like you don't know where the clit is I barely know where mine is like let's just
Let's
do it
learn
together
together. Yeah.
like
Let's take out a
or like
mirror. Let's go on an adventure.
let me show you or let me use this toy I know it works like
Hmm.
so I think yeah sex education is definitely a problem
What do you
but I
remember
also
from yours? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
From my, oh my God, I like slides of like different STDs. That was like the class number one. We got in sixth grade, they like split us up into guys and girls and had the girls learn about like pregnancy and stuff like that, like where babies come from. That and vagina is just such a funny word that I probably didn't even focus that much. Um, but yeah, it was a lot of like mechanical stuff. And then in high school, it got a little bit more like, don't do these things because then horrible things will happen and you'll have a baby. And like, that was like the scariest thing. And we saw like the birth video, but I don't think I even watched that. But I didn't learn about the clit. The first time I learned about the clitoris was from the Eminem song.
Ooh, which
There's like
song?
there's a line where he's like, for the guys who don't even know what the clitoris is or something like that. And I was like,
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
that? It sounds like
Like,
a
wait a minute.
dinosaur. And they
Excuse
were like,
me.
what? I didn't know, like, there were so many terms I didn't know. And I think the unknown and feeling stupid in high school is like the scariest thing. And even
Hmm.
now, you don't want to feel stupid. Like, I didn't know what a blowjob was. I didn't know what fingering meant. Like, I had no idea. And I
Yeah.
think because of that, I was so prude because I was so scared. And then I was labeled as like a prude girl, which
Ugh.
didn't make it better because then nobody wants to be with the prude girl because they're not going to do anything. And you're like, well, I'm not going to do anything if I don't,
If
we're
I
hooked
don't
up with
know
someone.
what I'm
You know?
doing, I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't know
What
what
is
I'm
the
doing. So
thing
I
to
have,
do?
yeah. So I don't, I had like a couple of like, I didn't have sex until I was 18, but it wasn't it was me being like, I have to get this over with. And that
Yeah.
was like not ideal, which I wish I had waited and whatever, but everyone says that and then they don't. And it was fine. I mean,
I think
you
it
live
comes
and
back
learn.
to the romanticizing piece of it, right? Like, which is, there's
Yeah.
one part purity culture, which is problematic for so many ways, but there's one part of it that's purity culture that's like you have to hold on to this thing and you can't give it to anybody, which, by the way, boys are getting slightly different messages there. But, like your
Mhm.
value is here and it has to be this big, beautiful, special thing. And then it's also the media being like, it's all flowers and butterflies and you're going to be in love and it's this such a big deal. And then the truth of it is that the first time that you have penetrative penis and vagina sex, it's weird and it's awkward and it's messy and chances are it's two
Home.
people who've never done it before. Yeah, it's vulnerable. Like it's like, and oftentimes, it's not necessarily this person that you love that you're going to be with forever and blah 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 blah. It's like
Mhm.
it's just a thing to do. You
Yeah.
want to do it safely and we want to make sure that people are doing it safely and smartly and consensually and all those things, but like at the end of the day it's a thing to do. But we
Yeah.
romanticize it in so many ways, and so I think that it adds so much pressure for kids not only to just get it done but also that it has to be this big beautiful thing. There's kind of two sides to that coin.
Yeah. And I think the what's crazy even now, I'm like, I feel like I'm more precious with it because I'm like, I know myself. If I do sleep with someone, I will get attached. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
will want more attention. It's harder for me to like disassociate.
Yeah.
And I think that way I'm a little more like, okay, like yeah, we can do that. But just so you know, like that comes with, a little more responsibility in my mind. Um,
Yeah.
I also think it's ridiculous. Like I have an IUD, I get tested, I do all these things, and guys don't even bring condoms. And I'm like,
Yeah, what
what?
the fuck, dude?
I'm
You
like,
have a
that's your
penis.
one, like that's your
One
one
job.
job. That's
Yeah.
literally the one thing you had to do
Yeah,
is go to
it's
CVS and
ridiculous.
get $20. I always have them just in case, but in my
Same.
space, but I'm like, I don't need it that bad anymore. I really don't. Like
Yeah.
we can cuddle and I'll be fine. Like
Yeah.
that'll actually be the best.
And there's so much that can be done that does not require your penis going into me. So
Right.
let's, until you can be responsible enough to think about that shit. And listen, maybe it was a surprise. Maybe you completely were not expecting it. And that's perfectly fine. Like, hey, that's lovely, actually. Thank you. That's nice. But, you know, just think about it, like for me, it's
Yeah,
the same way. I'm like, I especially because I do sex education, then I'm like, listen,
right.
bro, either you got to get your shit together or you got to go learn, and then maybe we can have a conversation. But I'm not here to teach you unless you're paying me to be your teacher. Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the responsibility is so often on the people with vulvas to be teaching, and it's like,
And then you become mommy, and it's not
yeah,
sexy.
it's
You have
not
to be like,
sexy.
hey, like I actually think that's not, or like, I this is another thing that I'm struggling with past partners is, um, like a guy will, go down on someone. I've heard it from other women too,
Mhm.
and I myself or some of my other friends are like, hey, like that's okay. Like I actually don't really like that, which is fine. Like for some people, that's not
Yeah, it can
how
be
they
really
prefer it.
sensitive.
Yeah. And the guy will be like, no, 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 trust me, I like it. And it's like, but this isn't about
This isn't
you.
about
Like,
you.
I know.
Ugh.
And that's what pisses me off. I'm like, I think some guys think like because of some comics or like comments in the media where it's like,
Hmm.
you have to go down on a woman. You have to. Like, it's a feminist thing to do. They
Yeah.
feel like, oh, no, no, I want to. So you can let me do it. And it's like, no, but I don't want you to.
Yeah. Also, maybe
I have,
you're really fucking bad at it, and I just need you to get the
yeah.
fuck out of there. That's
And it's
happened plenty
fine.
of
Just like,
times too.
but if it's just like, yeah, it's just like, hey,
Not everybody wants
this
it.
isn't working.
Yeah.
This isn't working. Why don't we try something else? And
Hmm.
I don't know.
There's a lot of ego. There's a lot
Yeah.
of ego involved in sex. And if there's any place that ego absolutely does not belong, it's in sex and pleasure, because there's just
Yeah.
no room for anyone's ego. Man,
Hmm.
woman, man on man, woman, woman, binary, non
Yeah.
binary. It doesn't matter what your gender is, what you got going on. There is no room for ego, because how could you possibly be present and listening and responsive? It's the same thing with improv.
Oh my
You
God.
can't have an
Oh my
ego in
God.
improv. You have
I
to
know.
listen. You have to say yes. And if someone's like, I don't want to do this, yes, and thank you for telling me. Let's go
Yeah.
do something else. Yes, and I don't want to do it
And
either. How about this?
yeah, I've been told too, because I have a problem with control. It's a whole thing. But anyway, the when I'm very direct, it sometimes is shocking to
Hmm.
people, like
Yeah.
even just like friends, if I'm direct, because I'm so fun and flirty, and then I'm like, hey, no, don't do that. People are like, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
But I think it's refreshing from like a giving or receiving end where you're like, hey, I don't like that. Like having an
Yeah.
open conversation, and communication is so fucking sexy. Like I've had a full conversation about what with someone about what we were gonna do, like from beginning to end, like almost like a choreographed piece, and it was lovely. It was
Yeah.
lovely. And I was like,
Yep.
I knew exactly what like where we were going and how we were feeling and whatever. The communication was like so clear about what we both needed, and it was lovely. But when you go in and you're like guessing, it's not fun.
Yeah. You just
And
explained the value of an intimacy coordinator and
mhm,
kink. Because in kink scenes, it's the same thing. It's a business meeting. Like you're just sitting there talking and like, this is what's going to happen. Same thing with intimacy coordinating. It's like, where are your boundaries? Where can we touch? Where can we not touch? This is exactly what's going to happen. This hand is going to go here. Granted, in the bedroom, if you're not in kink or putting a scene together, not a real sex scene, but a filmed scene or
mhm.
theatrical scene. Um, there is so much power and comfort and safety in knowing ahead of time what's going to happen. That's what
Yeah,
allows us to play full out. That's why that was such a lovely experience, because you didn't have to worry about anything. Like you knew
yeah,
you were safe. You knew you were
I
in a good place.
yes. And I think very true also with, yeah, filming and knowing exactly what's gonna happen so that you know how it's all gonna fit together. This is like such a good parallel. It's so funny.
Yeah.
And improv is so true too. And
Again, good prep,
and
great shoot, right? Good prep,
yeah,
great
and
shoot.
like a clear, even writing like a clear want and a clear need, it drives the character, and you're like, hey, I want to do this, and they're like, great, I can do that.
Yeah,
Done.
exactly. And
So anyway.
that is one of the biggest things in sexuality that we're just not taught. Even if we're being taught really well how the body works and about toys and things like that, the communication, how to
Mhm.
talk about sex, how to talk about STIs, how to talk about kink, how to talk about our desire or lack thereof, or boundaries, or all of these things, and how to talk about something when our boundaries was hit, when something happens. Like
Yeah.
it's such an important tool in all of these things. And it's a terrifying thing for most people.
Oh, it's so scary. And I think for women too, because we're told to not say what we want and to not say
Mm,
no. So
yeah.
it's
Oh my
like,
God.
where
And
are we going to
actors,
go from here?
actors are
Well,
told not to say no too.
I know. Oh
The
my God.
parallels.
The
Yeah. It's,
parallels are insane. But I also think like, I think because language, especially in the straight community, is so like unclear,
mm-hmm.
there's euphemisms for like
Yeah.
you hit on someone. It's like that sounds very aggressive, but you're
It
like
is very
flirting with them.
aggressive. What a
Yeah.
good point.
I have a joke where it's like the ways men approach women sound like kidnapping, where it's like, I'm gonna take you out. I'm gonna
Oh my
hit on you.
God.
I'm gonna bring you home. It's like scary.
Holy shit. Yeah. I
Yeah.
never thought
And I'm
about it
like,
like that before. You are
yeah, and I'm like,
so spot on with that.
it's so scary. And then with women, it's like the language of no is
Hmm.
not, because if you were in bed and you're like, no means no, like no one says that. And
No,
people
no.
think you're going to say that. No. Instead, we go like,
I'm good.
I'm tired, or like, I've said this, I'm like, I've just had too much to drink. Like, so
Hmm.
I don't feel, I'm not in the mood. And that's a way to say no.
It is. It is
But
saying
guys
no. It's
sometimes don't click with that, where you're like,
Well, and again, it comes down to protecting their egos and keeping ourselves
mhm,
safe. That's why women, cis straight women, again, very binary conversation, but that's
mhm,
why cis straight women have taught themselves or learned from other women to say things like that because it's a way that keeps us safe. Because if
right,
we're just rejecting a man, history has
mhm,
shown us that can, not always, but it can lead to sexual assault and abuse.
right,
And so we have developed these ways to say no in the safest, most indirect way possible. Fawning is really what it is. I mean, you don't have to be in that fear response to say something like that, but you're like prepping
yeah,
for it, right? Like, how can I say no in a way that's going to keep me safe? Even if this is somebody that you love, that it's your partner, you're still protecting that person from getting hurt, as opposed to
mhm,
just knowing like it's okay. Like, my body doesn't want to, my brain, my body, my heart, like, I don't want to be touched right now. That
yeah,
needs to be okay. And again, for most men it is, and most men only want to be engaging when, or most people, forget about men, women, but like people do want to just be engaging when it's completely like a fuck yes. But yeah, we've been taught bad lessons. Also
yeah,
because
and
we've also had to because of so many instances of sexual assault. So it's a very
yeah,
confusing, um, it's such a
and
loaded conversation.
I didn't learn about. I mean, I guess you learn about rape in school, and no means no, like the very clear like
Yeah.
that and this, but sexual assault you don't learn about. Um, there's the whole gray area of it all. And like, I don't even think we talked about that. And then there were so many times where, you would talk about an experience, and it wasn't until after, even if it's verbal, like, if someone was rude to you, there's so many instances, especially with men, that I've had where didn't know I was insulted until, not
Hmm.
assaulted, insulted, like from an insult of something that a guy would say to me,
Yeah.
until a woman was like, "That was really rude. Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, wait, that was really rude."
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
me
I am
too.
I thought I was offended, but now I know I'm offended. And it's not until later, and I think it's the same thing with us all, where it's like you
Yeah.
don't realize until someone's like, "Wait, that sounds like not a good like experience."
That's
And you're like, "Yeah,
bad.
but," and then you get mad because there are all these times where you let it kind of like slip under the rug, where you're like, "Oh, I didn't think of it like that." And then it happens. So all these little moments build up. I'll talk about verbal moments, like, especially as a female comic, like you get these like
Mm.
underwriting, like rude things, like, "Oh my God, did you write these jokes yourself?" Or like,
Ugh.
"Oh wow, like it must be hard to be a female," like just all these little things where it all adds up. Then someone tells you, "Hey, that's not okay." And then the next person who does it, then you're like ready and you're like, "Fuck you." And that's when guys are like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And it's like, it's not the one time you said that. It's the amount of times I've heard that before, that it's this pent up anger. And you try not to take it out on one person, but it's like, dude, like someone's got to say it to you. Someone's got to stop it, because then you won't say it to the next girl.
Actually, you just wind up looking crazy. And then they're like, yeah, that bitch is crazy. When it's like, no, I'm not. I've just been dealing with microaggressions from
Yeah.
every single person who looks and sounds like you. And
Yeah.
you are the one who finally, I didn't, because we're taught to brush it off because that is a measure to keep ourselves safe.
Yeah.
So and this again is like we talk about this with intimacy coordinating as well, because as children we're also taught to move past our guts and we
Mhm.
override our natural systems of protection and our natural indicators that like, hey, that wasn't okay, something is wrong here, my boundaries are being crossed, whatever. We, especially as women, are taught more and more and more over time to override those markers and brush it all off. That's why
Mhm.
it takes somebody else who's not you experiencing that thing to be like, are you okay? Because I just saw that with my fresh eyes because I'm not the one experiencing it. So my brain didn't click into that override. My
Yeah.
brain sees it for what it is, you know? I mean, that's why advocates are so important. And it's so important that we are sharing those moments with each other because we can't see them because we've been conditioned not to. And men
Yeah.
experience this as well, by the way. Like all children experience this, regardless of your gender. We are taught as children so many times, like every time your parent is like, go give them a kiss anyway, go do it anyway, because I said so. Da 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 da.
Mhm.
There's so many times that we're overriding these natural indicators of like, I don't feel good doing this. But oh, okay,
Yeah.
I'm forced, I have to do it anyway. It's
You're right, but it's
interesting.
polite, and especially Fairfield County, it's all about
Mm.
being polite and seeming, pleasing and happy and I'm a bride, everyone's great. But
Was
you're
sex talked
psychotic.
about much? Like, do you
No,
feel
not
outside of that, like boys, girls, like just the like, do you feel like
my
sex was something that ever came up?
in my family, no. My mom would always say, like, I got the shots for HPV when I was in high school,
Mhm.
and but my mom didn't even really tell me what they were. She was like, "Yeah,
Mm.
it's just a shot for like women." And I was like, "Cool." When mom takes you to the doctor, you're like,
All
"Great."
right.
And then she would always say, like, it's when you have a serious boyfriend.
Mhm.
Like, instead of saying sex, it was like a serious boyfriend.
Yeah.
And then I was having sex without a serious boyfriend. And then I started dating someone, and I was like, I need to get on birth control because I have a serious
Serious
boyfriend.
boyfriend. Yeah.
But that was like the code. I was like, I think I should get on birth control. And she was like, is it getting serious? And I was like, yeah, it's getting very serious.
Very.
And I'm like,
3 times a
so
week, mom, it's real serious.
I know. But it was something that was a little more serious and intimate, but I was like, did not know. And I feel like so much of my, like, it's what you see in the movies. And I tried to like replicate it. And it was just
Mm.
like like, I think about like college sex. It was like I was not, I would talk about faking it. Like,
Oh,
not
yeah.
even in like because I wanted to feel it and I wanted them to feel it. And I'm like, I cringe at the idea of like that.
All the
But
performances. It's so performative. Like when
I'm a
you're
performer.
young and you don't understand pleasure, and again, you're like trying to protect everybody's egos and you want everybody to feel good. Like we're so often, I think, especially as women in this place of like, gotta take care of everybody, gotta make sure everybody's okay. Like you need some water, you need some
Yeah.
of this. Like let me set the stage. I gotta make sure everybody's okay. Is everybody okay? Okay. I gotta make sure everybody's okay. It's
Yeah.
interesting. And then it does become very performative because also you're a kid and you don't know shit, Like we don't know our bodies.
No, I did not. And I still would say every partner, it feels like a new the first time because
It
you're still
is.
you're communicate like you're maybe know more about yourself, but I think like you're virgins to each other. It's like how
Mm-hmm.
I like to think of it. 'Cause I'm like, we have never done this before.
Yeah.
Like people have done this, I've done this, you've done this, but we have never. So we
Yeah.
don't know what's gonna happen.
And it's okay to be new and weird and flubbing around. Like that's what it's going to be with somebody new. You got to figure it out. You got to figure out who you
Yeah.
are with that person and who that person is with you and who you are together
Yeah,
in
and it's
all the
never gonna
ways.
be it's not going to be good the first time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It should be comfortable, but it shouldn't be like, maybe it could be, but you shouldn't have the expectation where it's like, I'm going to blow your mind. It's like, well, let's just do it.
Let's
Let's
just
just
see
see what
let's
happens.
find out what feels nice. Let's just do
Yeah.
something that feels nice. Can we feel nice, please? I would like
Can
to
we
feel
go nice
nice. I want to
together?
feel
That's
nice with you. Do you want to feel nice with
yeah.
me?
Yeah. That's cute.
Oh, it's time for a pop
Oh,
quiz.
yay.
Yay. What does the prostate do?
Oh, that is, it's in your butt.
You can get to it from the butt. That is how you
Okay.
would
What
get
does
to it.
it do? Oh, I all I know is you can get cancer on it and it's really bad.
That's good to know. You can. So, the prostate is a walnut sized gland that is inside people with penises' bodies. It sits right next to the bladder and it makes semen. So, it makes the seminal fluid. So, basically, the sperm comes up from the testes and then it's going to get all up in that prostate and it's going to be like, here's some nice liquid and that's going to help you shoot on out. So, basically, the prostate makes cum.
Okay.
And you can get
That's good
prostate
to know.
cancer.
You can get
Mhm.
prostate and isn't it like a pleasure zone?
It is, yeah. That's why it's kind of important for dudes to like be okay with like maybe putting a finger up your butt or like playing around in there because you can get to the prostate that way, and that's the only way you can get to the prostate. And for a lot of people with penises, it feels really good. So yeah,
Yeah.
you got
Good
you
to
got
know.
some nice little facts in there about it that it feels good
Okay.
and it's prone to cancer.
Yeah. Okay. What's the next one? I like this.
That's it. I
Oh,
just
that's
do
it.
one. Yeah, just one because
Oh, okay.
otherwise it's very scary and I don't need to scare anybody.
Oh, I love a quiz. I'm such a student. I'm like, oh,
You are. You're like, okay, I'm ready for more.
I'm like, I failed that one. What's the next one?
Oh my God. Is there
Numbers.
anything that you wanted to cover that we didn't touch upon when you were thinking about this?
There was a story that I was thinking about where in high school, when you get like pubic hair and you start shaving or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, this girl told me that she thought she shaved off her clit in the
Oh,
shower.
oh.
And I was like, first off, what is that? Second off, oh my God. She would have died. Like, wouldn't she have like,
Yeah, that would have been
it would
very,
have
very
been,
bad. That's literally
it
what
would have been,
genital mutilation is. It's when
yeah.
the clit is taken off. That would have been a big deal. You would have known.
It, I, yeah. But I remember being like, oh, okay, so like that can happen. And like, I didn't even know what it was or where it was, but I was like, holy I remember like there was big moments where you hear those things or those stories. And most of it was from guys telling me like, anyway, I just remember that and being like, oh, wow, like this is scary
Yeah.
because it's unknown and you never really look at it. But
Yeah.
anyway, I remember that being
Bad
like,
games of
ugh.
telephone and a lack of mirrors.
A lack of mirrors is
A
for
lack
sure.
of
Oh, but then
mirrors.
I did the vagina monologues. I think that was my
Oh, yay.
real certification. Was the that was a really cool experience. So if anyone is in theater and like just read it, it was so liberating. And then
Yeah.
performing it was so fun.
Yeah, I've done it a couple of times, and when I was 22 and working at the Tampa Improv, then I asked the manager over there. I was like, "Hey, can I do this thing here?" And he's like, "Yeah, absolutely." And we sold out, so we added another show and raised like ten
Oh my
thousand
God.
dollars. Put it together in like a month. It was amazing. It was pretty extraordinary. This is like I was a baby. I was like 22 when I did this, but it's such. Oh, it's so great. I should maybe think about doing it next year. Ooh.
Oh
It's
my
so
God, in
good.
casting. I remember I was like, I
Yes.
know. I loved it.
It was
And I
so
remember
much
telling my
fun.
mom, my mom's like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh,
Mhm.
there's no about vaginas and it's going to be great.
I did the orgasm monologue because I was in it as well. I did the orgasm monologue and had an orgasm on stage with my parents in the audience.
Is it the moaning one?
The moaning one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I did that one too.
Yeah, we love the
But I
moaning
didn't
one.
I remember watching videos and it was like very sexy, people. And I was like, that is not me. And so it was like, I did it like stand up where I think I even had a mic where I was like talking and like doing this thing. And it
Yeah.
was very clowny. And someone was like, I've never seen, they did it at my school a couple times. They're like, I've never seen someone do it like that. And it was really fun because I was able to like put my spin on it
Yeah.
because I still don't really find myself like sexy. I'm like more quirky. Um, but in that monologue, I was like, oh, this is like fun. It's so fun. It's so
Yeah.
fun.
It is. It's one of my favorites. It's so fun and it's super empowering and it's great for people to see. It's great for people to be a part of. When it's done in February, it's done to raise money. They Eve Ensler gives the rights for free to raise money for different sexual assault
Mm.
organizations. Like you pick your organization and it can go to different ones, but they basically approve it and then they give you the rights to the play for free. So that's why I did it in February when I did, and it like came together so quickly because I was like, I have this little idea. I was like on a lunch break, and he was like,
Yeah.
yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's the vision. You had a vision. You did
had a
it.
vision, yeah, and then people jumped on board, and it was like, oh my god, this thing was amazing, and like, who, you just need a vision, whether it's in the bedroom or in your life. If you
That's
have a vision,
beautiful.
people will support it.
Yep. That's true.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Where can people find
Thank
you?
you. Oh, you can find me on Instagram at Tess Treg, and you can find me in New York doing shows all the time. So if you're in New York, you can DM me and I'll let you know or follow me.
Yeah. Follow for more. If you like this podcast, then please like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram. It's in all the places at Birds and Beads. Don't fuck without the U because I want to be seen. And let me just do a quick check on when I think this is coming out. I think it's going to be before the Gentleman's Drive. Oh, yeah. This is going to come out the week before the Gentleman's Drive. So if you're listening, this is going to be the last push really, I think, for the Distinguished Gentleman's Drive. It's a drive that I host every year. It's part of a global fundraising drive where people around the world get into their pre-1980s classic cars and go motoring in dapper attire to raise money for men's mental health, suicide prevention, prostate cancer research, and testicular cancer research. So you can head over to my Instagram, or you can go to just go see Babes and Classics because that's where all of my car stuff is. But yeah, let's raise some money. Let's do good. And wherever you are in the world, there's a drive everywhere. So that's it. But thank you again for coming on the show. And I don't know, I feel like maybe I covered all the things. So goodbye.
Bye.